Obsidian Entertainment's version of Dungeon Siege is not meant to be a complex dungeon crawler. The 4 character classes are easy to use and master. The equipment and character development systems are all straightforward. It's a game where you plow through linear dungeons, slay all sorts of fantasy monsters, and pluck gold and items from their corpses. The combat system can be fun for a while, but ultimately Dungeon Siege 3 is a victim of its scaled-back customization options and provides no incentive to continue playing once the dull story is over. Dungeon Siege 3 can be a pretty game, with big, flashy spell effects and some cool environment types toward the end of the game. The menus are all clean and functional, and it's clear where you need to go to progress, so nobody should have trouble getting to the end. There's actually quite a bit of story in Dungeon Siege 3, which is nice for a dungeon crawler like this. It adds context to all the killing you do, so it doesn't feel as random as it otherwise would. What's disappointing is the story is so dull, mostly because the major characters have such flat, boring personalities that it's difficult to care about anything that happens.
I was afraid everyone else was dead. Are you all right?
The core combat mechanics of Dungeon Siege's battles are fun to play around with. Thanks to some well-designed encounters, you'll need to take advantage of dodging away from attacks and all the abilities available to each character class. Though the abilities are well-defined, there aren't very many per character, and even with all the ways to modify them, leveling starts to lose its appeal toward the end of the game. One of the most disappointing parts of Dungeon Siege is that the loot itself just is not very exciting. You will find quite a bit, but the statistical bonuses they provide aren't especially noticeable, and there's no detailed crafting or item modding systems that might otherwise make it more interesting. Grabbing items from chests and corpses too often feels like garbage collection instead of treasure hunting. Then there's the game's multiplayer component, which is poorly implemented. The offline co-op mode works just fine, but if you're looking to play online with others, the game does its best to ensure it won't be worthwhile. When you jump into an online match, you don't control your single-player character, only a temporary one, meaning no progress made or items acquired can be brought back to your game. And while the spell effects are nice, they really make it tough to see what's going on in a 4-player game. Paired with a jittery camera that makes the action tough to follow, it's way too much frustration for what it's worth. Obsidian's Dungeon Siege 3 is an easy-to-play dungeon crawler with a solid combat system and well-designed encounters. But it fails to deliver lasting entertainment thanks to its tedious story, boring loot, and inadequate online mode. It can be decent fun for a few hours of hacking and slashing, but it doesn't do enough that's novel to overcome its various flaws. For more on Dungeon Siege 3, head over to IGN.com.